if you're not getting nervous when you do that thing that you love doing, then it's time to leave it and do something else. If you're not, every time that the red light goes on in the studio, regardless of I'll appear calm and perfectly fine and everything, there's still an element of nerves or an element of like you have to feel it. And I think if you don't, then leave, because you're not, that job no longer excites you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast where every voice matters, the voice to be heard. Today we have a very special guest. If you're living in Dubai, chances are you already heard his voice in radio. He's a Dubai92 presenter, and he's known for his quick wits in early mornings.
Yeah. I mean, I'm tired most of the time, but yeah, I guess so.
Help me welcome Jono.
Thank you.
Hi,
Thank
Jono.
you.
Thank you for being here.
I'm on episode 5, right? So this is your
Yes.
5th episode.
Yes, Jono, I'm curious about your name. Is it really Jono or is it your screen name?
So that's a good story, because I worked in radio here. I've been on Dubai92 for, I want to say 11 years-ish. And when I first joined, 11 years. When I first joined, I was a producer on the breakfast show that was on then. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, producers normally have like a catchy, quick, like a fun name. I was like, well, my name is John. I'm like, my nickname is Chucky. And I was like, I kind of like that. And they're like, no, it's not going to work. And the guy was like, well, you're Irish, your name is John, so we'll just call you John O. And I'm like, that's really rubbish. And it's stuck.
Johnny, right? Johnny.
It's John. Normally it's just John.
John.
But he said it's John and you're Irish, so we'll call you John O. So that's how it stuck. And then I was like, oh, I hate this name. And still I'm unsure about it. But now it's stuck. It's too late. I can't get rid of it. So I gotta just roll with it.
So they call you John in the screen name, but your real name is John.
It's just John. It's actually longer. It's John, Joseph, Michael, Patrick.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
we don't get into it. So just to be nice and easy, it's John with an O. John O.
Jono, yeah. Jono, what brought you here in Dubai?
I'd been working in radio in Ireland for years, probably around like 10 years before I moved here. And then I felt like I needed a break. There was a big downturn, like economic downturn in Ireland at the time. It had been hit in 2008. It continued through 2009. It wasn't getting any better. I was getting pay cuts, and I thought, you know what? I need something different. A job opportunity came up with someone who I kind of knew, who was working in Dubai in McGettigan's, which is the Irish bar, and they just opened their first branch.
I saw you last time in McGettigan's. You were doing DJ. Oh,
yeah, so I still go. I still play there. But there was somebody who was working there who said, look, I'm looking for someone to come over and host events, DJ, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? He said he was also doing some radio stuff from here. So I thought, you know what? I'll take a break. And this friend of mine called Deck, who went on to be one of my best friends, Deck Pierce, he said, let's bring you over, see how it goes. You know, you seem really good on paper. Let's see if you're good in real life. And I moved here having never been to Dubai, never been actually outside. I don't think I'd ever been outside of Europe before I moved to Dubai. I had no idea what the Middle East was like. Jumped on a plane, flew into Abu Dhabi because there was no direct flights to Dubai from Ireland. And yeah, I never really looked back, and that's 15, almost 16 years ago.
Yeah, I saw that in your video that you've been in 15 years here in... If I see Dubai92, I'm already expecting that you're there at the same time.
Yeah, because I've been there for so long, but the brand definitely precedes me. The station is 51, 52 years old. Like, the station has been there for a very, very long time. The station definitely predates me. And there have been other presenters who, when they were there at their time, they were the big name of Dubai92. You know, there's been other presenters who've been there before me. There was Harry and Pricey. Before Harry and Pricey, there was Catboy. Before that, there was, I think it was Chris Fisher. There was all these different presenters who, when they've been at Dubai92, they've been the ones who've been expected to be there. So I kind of see it as my home on radio here now, if that makes sense. Like, that's where I feel most at home. Dubai92 is what I see as my station. I'd feel awkward if I was anywhere else that wasn't Dubai92 as a radio station. And yeah, I love it. And it helps that I get to work with someone who I class as my best friend every single day, which kind of makes it a lot easier as well. We were friends, then we were co-hosts, and I think that probably...
We would love to know your story behind the mic. So, can you tell us a little bit of you that you want to share in the audience?
Anytime I meet somebody, they say, oh wow, I thought you were old and fat. I'm like, cool, well, I'm one of those things. So, which one is it? But I think a lot of people always think, oh, he's like, he can be quite grumpy, and I get it. Like I am sometimes on air, I can be quite
Because on air, you're very like live. You have so much energy.
Yeah. I think you have to be, because your job is to wake everybody else up. So I think if you don't have that energy, how are you expecting everybody else to have it?
Right.
And kind of what I try to do is add some levity to somebody's day, so they listen, and then by the time they get to work, they've heard something that's put a smile on their face. And if I've done that, then I'm happy. Okay, sometimes I might seem a little bit grumpy or cranky, but I think that's life in general. I think everyone has those moments where you have moments where you're a bit annoyed with things, or something's gotten under your skin, and you kind of show that. But just instead of hiding that away, I think that's not a real version of yourself. If you hide those annoyances away, or those little things that tick you off, I think then you're not giving people who listen the true version of yourself. And Nat's the girl who I work with always says, like, if you're being honest, people will like you more for it.
True.
Because then at least they get more about you. They know who you are as a person, and they don't think, oh, it's a facade, or it's a front, or there's a fake version and there's a real version. And there is. I think there's a radio version of you that exists, or there's a version of me that's on TV that exists, and then there's a version of me that's real, that is different, and then people kind of get taken aback. Or I'll say, oh, I have like 22 rescue pets, and they'll be like, oh, you don't strike me as somebody who's loving, caring, nurturing towards animals. And I'm like, yeah, that's like my hidden secret, is that I rescued animals during COVID, and it just became kind of more of a unhealthy obsession, and ended up with this big like stack of animals. But people are quick to judge, I think, based upon what they hear on the radio and what they then picture you as a person. Because a lot of people, you might have looked me up on social media, a lot of our audience have never seen you before, and they'll recognize your voice, but they won't recognize your face. And that's what I like about radio. The anonymity of it is nice, because you can walk in a mall, and okay, some people will be like, oh, hey, but then 90% of people have heard you, but they don't know it's you. Exactly. And I like that.
Yeah. So you're more into like introverted side and behind the scene, or like, so you love really talking with lots of people?
I like it when I have to. Absolutely. I love to have a chat, but I've got a very small group of friends. Like I keep my close group of friends really super tight and small, only because they're the people who I can be at ease with, and not necessarily talking all the time. And I can sit for 30 minutes and not have a conversation. But at the same time, if you want to have a bounce back and forth, you can do that as well. And I think you have to have two versions maybe of yourself that exist. One who's happy to talk continuously, and then one who's like, right, I just want to shut up for a while. I've just got back from a retreat that I went to in Thailand, where I spoke to nobody for 5 days.
In Bali?
I was in Thailand. I was in just about 2 hours outside Krabi, in the mountains. There are no people. The most I had to say like was basically more water and stuff. If I was in the restaurant, I didn't speak basically for 4 days, and just had massages, sat in the hot springs and stuff. And I came back full of energy, full of the joys of life, because I felt like I've rested my body, my brain, my mental health took a break, and I think you need that every so often. And that's why I wouldn't describe myself as an introvert. I get FOMO so much. Like if I miss out on something, I'm like, oh, I wanted to be there.
FOMO.
Absolutely.
Because you've been in events, so you've been exposed with so many events, and if you missed one event, it seems like, I care. If I miss an event, I'll have FOMO. Rarely will I look and be like, oh, I wish I went to that. I'll always think that. Still, even if it's like you're doing it in every year,
I don't care. Like the sevens, for instance, like the Emirates Dubai sevens. When I go to that, I love it it's my favorite weekend. And you meet probably the same people over and over again. You have the same kind of a schedule over the weekend, and it's work for me. It's work, and then there's a little bit of fun as well. But I love it as an event. I love meeting people, like going out about doing that kind of stuff. Afterwards, I do feel drained, but I love doing it in the time. I love hosting my quizzes, my events, my bingo, that kind of stuff, because it gets me that interaction that I need. But then I enjoy time to myself as well. I think everyone feels like that.
Yeah.
You can't continuously be on.
Right.
And then I don't think you can continuously be off either, and like an introvert and just kind of disappear into the background. I don't think that's a good idea either. I don't think it's good for your health.
Yeah. Speaking of events, like, can you share one of the most unforgettable event that you had that changes you after that?
That changes me, I think, would probably be one of the first big events we did, and I think that was Backstreet Boys. And I
Backstreet
mentioned that
Boys.
before, yeah, because like there was 15,000 people,
Ooh.
and that up to that point it was the most people I'd stood in front of. When Expo was on, Christina Aguilera was closing out Expo. Chris Martin from Coldplay was in the Millennium Dome, and we were hosting Christina Aguilera on the stage, Nats and I, which was 100,000 people
True.
in Jubilee Park. And then obviously so many millions of people watching worldwide for the closing ceremony of Expo. And I walked down onto that stage and I thought, wow, I don't think the guy who from a small beautiful town in Limerick in Ireland, I'm from a place called Hospital, that's my hometown weirdly, but I love the
Which
place.
one? What's
Hospital is the name of the town.
Hospital?
Hospital, like where you're born. But the name, we have no hospital there. But it's a beautiful town in Limerick in Ireland. And I was that kid who was back in school doing that.
Yeah.
And hosting like talent shows for the school, because I used to do it even when I was in school. I don't think you could have spoken to that guy and said, hey, by the way, someday you're going to stand in front of a stage of 100,000 people and that's going to be your job. I don't think you would have believed it.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And I think that's probably the thing that makes you go, it makes you realize how lucky you are. And it's daunting because you also are so stressed, but it makes you realize just how far you've come and how lucky you've been. Because I think a lot of probably where I've ended up has been a mixture of luck and more than anything else. I think it's been luck and the right place at the right time.
Did you ever thought that you will be where you are right now? Looking back to where you were before, did you ever thought that you can?
I wanted to. I wanted that to be my future. When I was 12 or 13 years of age, I would order parts for a radio station, like as in a FM transmitter, from parts of Africa, normally South Africa, and I get them shipped to Ireland, and I'd assemble them in my bedroom, like I'd solder them together, put them all together, and I would eventually make an actual transmitter, and that would be something I would build over time, which is cool. But that was me getting on the radio for the first time, so I knew that was something I wanted to do. Broadcasting was something that I wanted to be involved in, and then I gradually started moving from there up. I think it was always things, even when I was younger than that, I would record songs off the radio and then put my voice in between the songs on a tape and, play it back afterwards. So I think I always kind of wanted to do radio. But when I was asked, when I was leaving school, where do you want to be in 10 years time? I said I'll either be an alcoholic or I'll be rich and famous, either or.
But do you sing though?
Do I what?
Do you sing?
Do I sing?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I can't sing. No idea how to sing. And the only talent that I had was being able to talk. So then I utilized that as best as I possibly could. And I think I started off doing radio thinking, this is nice. I don't think this is going to be my job. I think I'm going to have to be a teacher, because I kind of was indoctrined into the ideology from educational point of view that you need to leave school, you need to do your degree in a specific thing, and then you need to decide what career you're going into. Are you going to be an engineer? Are you going to be a teacher? Do you want to be a doctor? And I wasn't particularly good in school. So doctor was never going to be an option. Vet was not an option. I wasn't smart enough. Teacher was maybe, like that was a maybe. You're like, I might be smart enough to be a teacher potentially. And that's not taken away from teachers. I'm just saying I was intelligent enough for that. But I didn't think that was going to be the career path I chose. And I didn't think radio was going to be the career path. I thought I'd be doing something else. And it just ended up being lucky and fortunate that I just ended up getting jobs that I really thought were interesting and fun. And I just kept moving through the ladder. And it takes a long time. But I think what's good about Dubai is it takes less time than it would in Europe. For sure, if I was at home, I don't know what I'd be doing, but I don't think I'd be doing the breakfast shift. Maybe I would. I don't know, but I think I've just been really lucky.
But so for all the events that you have, do you still feel nervous when talking with hundreds of people? Thousands of people.
It's not even thousands. Standing in front of a room of 20 people, there's still nerves that kick in.
But how do you manage it to yourself?
I'm better at managing it now because I mask it.
A what?
But I mask it, I hide it. So I put up a facade and then I try and switch it off. And then I try and blank out faces so that I don't know who's in the audience. Not because I might know the person or they might intimidate me, but I find it easier to just address the entire room. But I still get nervous. And I've said, like, if you're not getting nervous when you do that thing that you love doing, then it's time to leave it and do something else. If you're not, every time that the red light goes on in the studio, regardless of I'll appear calm and perfectly fine and everything, there's still an element of nerves or an element of, like, you have to feel it. And I think if you don't, then leave, because you're not, that job no longer excites you. Then you're no longer at the level whereby there's something super exciting about that countdown. if you're in a TV studio and you know you're doing something live and you know that if you say something wrong,
Right.
you're like, you screwed it, you're done. Like that element of the lights going on and someone in your ear saying 3, 2, 1, boom.
Yeah.
It's a real buzz. And the day you don't get that buzz is the day that I'll probably be like, oh, I think I need to do something else. But it hasn't happened yet. And it's the same when you stand on a stage. I get nervous. How do I manage it? I don't. 90% of the time when I stand on the stage and do a gig, I will have either felt sick beforehand, been physically sick beforehand, or I'll just, I still get nervous. And it's good. Nerves are good. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm so nervous. It's good. You just need to use those nerves, channel them the right way, and then use that energy, because it's energy. Everything's energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nerves are energy as well. And use the nerves towards putting on the best show you can. Like channel that in towards being like, whoa, we're here, it's a live gig, isn't this cool?
Yeah.
Then it makes it easier to do it, but still nervous every time.
Okay, since you are like an expat, we're all expat in Dubai. How do you manage the multicultural viewers?
And this started from when I began in radio back in Ireland, in Limerick. I had to neutralise my accent quite a lot. It's not my accent.
I can understand your accent.
Okay, but it's if I spoke with somebody else who was Irish, and specifically somebody who's from where I'm from, it would be, first of all, so fast. If I speak to my parents, it's like we're speaking our own language. Second of all, it's got a bit more of an accent. So it's not that I'm not putting on a voice in order to sound different than how I do sound, but I've neutralized my accent to make sure that it's understandable. I love my original accent. I think it's amazing.
Can you?
It's kind of it's mostly how I sound now. But when I'm talking to my mum and dad, I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, how are you? How's everything good at home? All no problems? Like everything fine." But it's
so
super fast.
Yes, it's so fast.
So if you do that in Dubai, guess what? Nobody's going to understand your traffic. All of a sudden, you've said 15 words in 2 seconds, and we're speaking English. Don't get me wrong. Like we speak English, but it's so fast, and it's so different as well from the north to the south of Ireland. It sounds so different, and so I've liked my accent. I've just toned it down a little bit to make it acceptable for an international audience, which is even in Ireland something that I probably had already started doing, to be like, right, slow the pace, make sure you deliver correctly, because my first job in proper official radio was reading the news, and that's something that you don't really need to have excitement or a tone. You just need to give the facts, and they need to be clear and understandable, and that's it.
Like informative tone.
Yeah, it's informative. I did that, and I did the death notices, which is reading out dead people's names on the radio. Real fun. So I did those two things, and I think that was probably why, because they had to be so perfectly pronounced that it just gave me a nice tone. So that's how I deal with it on the radio. Then I educated myself about different cultures, about Islam, about Muslim holidays that were happening in the region and everything that was going on. Regional knowledge, I think, was probably one of the biggest things that I needed. Cities, towns, where people are from, definitely in the region, definitely in the Levant and the Middle East and North Africa region. To learn all of those was really beneficial. And then learning about other religions, Hinduism, Sikhism, whatever might be here in the UAE that you might know a little bit more about. What holidays do they have? What are their big holidays? What observations do they have? Just that gave me a little bit more of an insight, so that, first of all, my colleagues, I'd be able to know what they were celebrating, when they were celebrating it. Second of all, to know what's important to your listeners. Because not all your listeners are celebrating Christmas or Easter.
Yeah.
Some are celebrating Eid, or they're celebrating Ramadan, or whatever it may be. They're observing Ramadan, whatever is going on in different. So that's how I try and do that. That was a process, because I had not really been exposed to many cultures outside of Europe before moving here. So I think that was something I needed to do for myself, and I find that kind of stuff interesting. Like, I find politics interesting, and I find geography interesting. So I merge those together, and you can geopolitically figure out the entire region and what's important to people who live in that region, who call Dubai their home. So I think just informing myself, asking people questions, tell me more about your culture, tell me a bit more about where you're from, and it just makes it easier for me.
Dubai is the first country that you have migrated so far.
So I worked in Spain for a while, and I worked in Greece for a little bit as well, but they're seasonal jobs. I was like DJing, hosting events, that kind of stuff.
It's really your niche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has been for the longest time. But outside of Ireland, to move with everything, suitcases packed, and I'm not coming back kind of thing. Dubai was the first place I went to, and stuck with it. It was supposed to be for a year, and I thought, right, after a year, I'll go to Australia. Like every other Irish person that ever left the country, I'll go to Australia. Yeah, I thought that's the ideal. And then I loved it here.
Yeah.
It wasn't as built up. It wasn't as busy. There definitely wasn't millions and millions and millions of people rolling into the city every week for tourism. Not a lot was known about Dubai, and I think there wasn't enough information online for people to go, oh, maybe I'll move to there. Like it was a lot of people were really sheltered on their view about Dubai. And I feel like when I got here, it was just on that turning point of when the whole world woke up and went, oh my goodness, this city is amazing.
Yeah.
Why are we not going there? And I think I was, again, lucky that I was here at that point, instead of trying to come into the market 7 or 8 years later when we already were inundated with people and we were in that post-COVID era that we're in now of crazy high tourism and a massive, massive amount of people living in the UAE.
I mean, you've already witnessed Dubai for a long time, right?
Yeah, it's changed, but it now changes so much around me that I don't notice. What I do notice is that when I go anywhere else in Europe, it's largely unchanged from wherever I was there last. And Dubai, the landscape changes so quickly and so drastically as well. And I think you got to love the city for that. Like it's a case of, we need it, we'll build it. There's a problem, we'll fix it. Like there's always, the solution is always there with Dubai. And I think that's probably what makes it so livable as a city. Like, okay, traffic's an issue there. Let's build 14 roads that go over it. No drama, we'll fix that. We've got a shortage of houses here. Let's build 10,000 new apartments. It's that attitude, that like vision that I think really makes the city livable.
Going back to your work, like, are you the one creating your scripts? Or,
That's a good question.
Or it's like...
So, here's the deal. For some things, for the TV, there's a script. For when I do TV shows, there's a script. I'm reading from an auto cue. It's in front of me. Because my dad is always going, how do you know how to talk about that stuff?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's there. Like, I'm literally looking at a screen that says it. For the TV. For the radio...
Oh, so I didn't know that you're also doing TV.
Yeah, so I've been working with NBC since last April, and then I've been working with them a bit more since the last 3 or 4 months. Yeah, that's exciting, and it's getting more exciting. I think that's kind of a cool development that's going on there. But with the radio, it's not scripts, it's bullet points, and I think that's important. So instead of it being a written script, I'll know the story, which I'll have written down in front of me. I'll take 2 or 3 points out of that story. And then because I'm working with somebody who I know so intrinsically well that she can bounce off of everything that I say, we'll bounce off each other. So we'll have the story, we'll be like, I'm going to lead this, or Nats will say she's going to lead that. And then there's no script. There is no script. Unless it's a prize that we're giving away, then there might be a script that you got to read that says, the prize is a 2-night stay for 3 people in a beautiful junior suite at this hotel, and you get this for breakfast. That's the script. Everything else is not a script. It's not even, it's ad-libbed. We have bullet points to come back to so we don't get lost.
Yeah.
But it's ad-libbed. And I've worked on shows where the presenters have needed everything to be scripted for them, or they've needed to write their own scripts every single night, which is probably a lot easier now with ChatGPT, I think. But no, I don't operate well off a script.
With scripts, yeah.
No, I'll stumble, I'll miss it. I just won't get it right. It's for me, it's easier to go, here's 3 points.
Yeah.
Make sure you hit A, B, and C, and then run with it.
That's an innate skill.
Yeah, I think it's probably the ability to just fluff it up would be a great description of it. So, as in to come up with something small and then to be able to add loads of words around it. You've not actually changed what you're saying. You're just making it sound more flowery, and it works. And if you've got a broad knowledge of lots of different things, that's easier to do.
Yeah. So you're just picking things and then you're putting it in.
Yeah. And I think that comes with life experience as well. The version of me that existed 10 years ago as a radio presenter didn't have the life experience that I have now.
Yeah.
And so now 90% of the stuff that we do on air, I have experience with. No matter, like tomorrow we're doing a thing about, when you buy your house or you rent a house, what do you go through? What do you snag list to find out? Do you check beforehand the plumbing? What do you check the tiles? What do you do it? I've moved through so many places in Dubai at this stage that I'm like, I know this story inside out. I've done this before. I can do this.
You're right.
And we're doing another story about like, how do you, when you sleep at night, how do you sleep? You know, do you sleep with pillows all around you? Are you like starfished on the bed? Again, like we've all got that life experience. So you just take that and turn it into the script in your head and paint a picture and try and create a story and make it a journey. Like I've got a really, and this is not to be like, oh, he's amazing, but I've got a good boss currently, which is nice because I've had some who've been a bit lackluster and have some who've been amazingly inspirational. But now I've got a guy who's like, take us on a journey, like start from A, get to B, but take us on a journey to get there and paint a picture. And I think that's probably something that you learn with life experience, to be able to paint that picture for somebody in their head so that they can see what you see as a vision and just take them there. And I enjoy doing that.
Talk about your experience during doing the TV host.
So I started working with NBC as a contributor, which was nice because I got to be in like a live studio again. I thought this is fun. And then just got more work as initially a news anchor, reading the news, and then doing more of like a talk show type style idea. And I thought, oh, this is actually a lot of fun because you get to be a bit more fluid with it. The news, and I've said this before, when I read the news, even at home, the news is the news. You can't change it. You can't make it different. You can't change the script because guess what?
Even
it's
your
factual.
tone. The tone
your
is,
tone. It's neutral.
Yeah.
And it has to be, and I get that, I get it. But then the late night talk show, even as a contributor, being on there and the team that are there, it's a bit more fun, a bit more fluid. And it feels like it ignites something in you as well, where you get to talk about things that normally I don't get to talk about at work. So you've got two sides. You've got the radio, which is really fun, light, fluffy stuff, and a little bit of serious things when you need to tackle them. Absolutely. I think that has to happen on a breakfast radio show. If somebody phones through and they're going through something, you need to have that conversation too.
Yeah.
But with the TV, it's a bit more serious. What's affecting people politically, what's affecting people financially, that kind of stuff. And I feel like that balances me out and it gets me the hit of both of those things that I need. I enjoy both because I feel like I've got opinions on both of those things. And now instead of me just keeping them to myself and not putting them on social media where people can see them, I can do them on the TV. And that's what I enjoy about it. So yeah, it's fun.
I love how you're becoming so dynamic with your career. Like you're not just sticking to things that you're already comfortable, but like you're also exploring things that you might have you can do as well.
So again, and this is, someone said to me when I started in radio, that'll be dead in 6 years. And that's a long time ago. And I said, radio will be dead in 6 years. We'll be all streaming music online. And a lot of us are, but radio's not dead. That means that there's still a demand for radio because it's local, it's now, it's current. It's not a podcast. A podcast is listened to afterwards. Like this is going to be listened to, not live afterwards.
Right.
Radio is now. I can get involved now. I can ring you now and get involved in this entire competition. TV is live. Like it's there and then. It's the news that's happening at this second. And I think that's why both win over streaming services, because you are getting that content that you need for the city that you're in at that exact moment. And that's why I think they're great as mediums. And I don't think they're on the way to dying. I think they're on a decline for sure, but they're not dying. And that's important to remember. The reason I do other things is because I think, well, what if something goes wrong with one of those mediums? What if that is no longer an option? Then you have to have a plan B. Like, what's your backup?
Yeah.
And so I started doing live events. COVID was the perfect description. COVID radio stayed on.
Yeah, how did you manage it?
COVID stayed on and I stayed working from the studio because we were allowed to go to work. When someone got sick, and you remember that thing, everyone had to go home.
Yeah.
Oh, 5 days off. Woo, woo, woo. We didn't get 5 days off. We'd work from home for 5 days. So you'd have to patch into the studio. You'd all be on a Zoom call with your colleagues. You're all sharing, like you're on different microphones in different places, but you're sharing one line to feed it into the studio and try and record a show. It was a headache. It was a nightmare. I hated it. So I did, but I continued on air. I don't think we took days off at all. And then from live events, because they all went, that had to change quickly and dynamically. And so I started doing stuff, I think, initially on Facebook Live, and one of my colleagues jumped on with me. And then we started doing it on Zoom, because I think that was the best way to go. And we started doing Teams and everything. And I diversified as quick as I could in order to continue doing what I was doing in a live setting, but change it because now it was different intrinsically because of how it was being delivered. And you didn't have that one-on-one interaction with people anymore. So that, I think, actually worked for me as a host a lot better. And then now all of a sudden I can speak to a camera without seeing anybody, no problem whatsoever. And I think that was good for me, for sure. But COVID was beneficial.
When you came here, I know that you've been your schedule is so hectic, and good thing that you still find time to come here. Thank you so much for that. But how do you manage for this thing, like for your personal, like setting aside the work that you have outside the camera and the mic, like how do you manage your everything, like balancing your physical, spiritual, mental, your family, relationships?
So I think there's no balance at the moment, right? For sure. In that phase where I'm like, okay, I'm taking on a lot of different things, and some of those things will go because I need to allow time for myself. But I keep saying that, and I never actually let go of those things. Like, and that's unfortunate. I try and take one day off a week where I don't people where possible, if that makes sense. I try and stay away from like doing stuff with people, and that or with my very close group of friends. And that's possible. I've been able to stick to that fairly rigidly and keep Sundays like for myself, to be able to do something that I want to do. And I can do that with somebody, or I can do that on my own, or whatever I'm feeling that week. And when my parents come over to stay, I do it with them. So I've tried to keep that like as a sacred day where I'm saying, right, Sunday I'm off. Sometimes work doesn't allow that. I'm busy and I have to work on a Sunday, which is no issue, but there is no real work-life balance when it comes to how much stuff I'm doing. Like, I'm working 6 nights a week and 6 days a week on different things.
And you've interviewed lots of celebrities already.
Yeah. Oh, over the course of my career, lots. But when you love it, why then it doesn't feel like work.
Who was the first singer or actress that you have interviewed?
Oh, it was way back. I got sent to cover a music festival that was happening. It was an indoor music festival, and there was a lot of different bands that were performing, and there was 2 that were there, and they were kind of well known. They were breaking onto the scene. One was Girls Aloud. They ended up becoming quite big. And the other one was Westlife.
Oh, yeah, Westlife.
And they were okay. Like Boyzone had been just before them. Everyone was like, Boyzone are amazing. Westlife were like the new Boyzone, and I interviewed them. And they were really nice guys. That was, I think, one of my first big bands, because they then went on to be bigger. So I think they were probably at the time they were the biggest. Then there was others. There was Lady Gaga at one stage, but she was not big at the time. She was like performing one of the smaller stages at a festival that was happening. And there was like a stack of different artists that I just thought, they're not big now, but they became big afterwards. Like Calvin Harris was one of my first interviews was also Calvin Harris.
Calvin Harris in One Direction?
No, Calvin Harris, the DJ. He does his own stuff DJing separately. So he was kind of a nobody at the time. He was doing music, but it was a bit out there, a bit strange. And I interviewed him, and I just remember being like, this guy is so super tall, but he doesn't look like a superstar. Like, he doesn't look like he's famous. Now Calvin Harris is probably one of the 5 top biggest DJs in the world. He's huge, and has collaborated with so many artists. It's crazy. He's so famous. So I think he was probably one of my biggest early interviews in my career, and it was early in his career as well. So neither of us had really done a whole pile at that stage. And I wish I had audio of it. I don't think I have the interview anymore. I don't know where it went to. We recorded at a festival, and I thought, this guy looks like he's kind of cool. He's probably on the way to big things. The guy is massive. He's like one of the biggest artists in the world. Lady Gaga, same thing. I'm like, this girl's got something about her.
Yeah.
She's cool, and she's different, and she looks different. She looks the part. She looks like a celebrity.
She's nice in person.
Yeah, she was amazing. She was so giving of her time, because she wasn't famous, really. She was a smaller act.
What year was that?
That would have been, I would say 2007, 2006 maybe. So you're talking like early days of Lady Gaga, very early days. She was making a name for herself for sure, but I think it was like Poker Face era or whatever. So it was the very, very start.
That's already, she was already famous when it...
Yeah, so it's probably even pre that. And yeah, it was kind of cool. And there's been lots of others who I've kind of either met or interviewed who I thought, they're going on to bigger and better things. And then they just become so famous you can't interview them anymore because you don't get the opportunity. They don't need the interviews. Interviews are for promotion.
Right.
You don't need the promotion if you're Beyonce.
By the way, how do you get paid for doing radio? For example, like for collabs, partnerships like that?
No, you have to get a salary. Unless you're getting a salary, you're not getting paid for the radio.
Aside from that,
you have to be doing something yourself separate that's away from the radio. That is your own.
Like you have your
thing.
own gig. Yeah, right.
Because nobody's gonna. First of all, you can't. It's totally against any company's policy to be like, oh, I'm going to promote a brand for you because I work on the radio, because then the station's losing money. It makes no sense. And I always think that the station is bigger than any one, with some exceptions. The station is bigger than the presenter, for sure. The station is the brand, and anything that you're doing as a presenter should come back to give kudos to the station, so that you're building the station, and as a result you build, station builds, you build. That's how it's supposed to work. And I think anything that's like a commercial partnership, the station should build revenue from that, and then you should get revenue as a result of the station getting revenue, and it's kind of a synergy that exists between the two. But then I think you need your own separate thing, whatever that might be, in order to make money. I don't think there is, obviously, exceptions. There's a lot of radio presenters internationally who make a lot of money because they are radio presenters, but a lot of it is to do with stuff they're doing externally and not what they're doing on air.
Right.
And I think you have to have many strings on your violin to make sure that you're making money in different places, for sure. That's how do you make money, is exactly what we spoke about earlier. Diversify who you are as a person. Like, people talk about stocks and shares and say, how did you make so much money? And they always say a diverse portfolio is how you make money in things like crypto and stocks and shares. Yeah. I firmly believe that as a professional, as a person, if you look at Elon Musk, you look at Mark Zuckerberg, you look at these people who've made billions and billions, the reason that they've done it is because, first of all, they're super smart. Second of all, they're diverse in what they do. They don't just do one thing. They do several different things, and they do them all very, very well. And that's an obviously extreme example. But I think if you can do several different things and then find the ones that you're good at, then that becomes what you make money on.
So of all the like celebrities that you have interviewed already, what's your realizations, like introspection afterwards? What are their commonalities that they have, personality, that what made them reach at that level?
The majority of them, and a lot, by the way, so many of them are so nice, and you make that realization early in your career where you're like, oh yeah, they're just people, because they're just people,
right?
You know, it's not like you're not interviewing somebody who's like a demigod. They're not, like, they're people at the end of the day, and they have wants and needs, and you can't require too much of, you can't get them to give you too much of them as well as a person. If they're about to go on stage, and we sometimes hear like an artist will say, no, not before they go on stage, they don't want to do an interview, or some who say not after they come off stage because they don't want to do an interview. And the more you do events and gigs and stuff, the more you realize that is so important, because it's so draining going on the stage doing stuff. You might have to give a lot of your time and energy to an interview before or after. That might lead to a worse performance, or you might be just finished a performance. You're drained. You want to sit down. You're totally pooped. You want to sit down and relax. You don't want to do an interview. So I totally now respect it. So what I learned from them is, first of all, respect for the fact that they are there because they have worked hard. I have yet to meet somebody who is a celebrity who I'm like, they don't deserve to be a celeb. Like, they don't deserve to be famous, or they're famous for no reason. Maybe one or two reality TV stars who I thought, what's the point of you? Like, I don't get you. But aside from that, musicians, I always think they've worked so hard, they deserve to be where they got. So I think I've learned that. Some of them are really humble about the fact that if you're a genuine fan, they'll be like, oh wow, like, that's actually really nice to hear. They're humble. But I think what I learned is that if you have that hunger or the appetite to envisage something and manifest it in whatever way that is. I'm not saying light a manifestation candle. I'm not going down that route. I'm just saying, like, manifest it as in, that's what I want to achieve.
But you have manifested it as well when you were young.
100%. And I still do it on the regular now. Don't get me wrong. I don't entirely know how it works. And again, I'm not lighting a candle.
Right.
I'm just like, I picture.
You just
I'm
say
like,
it, or
I just picture it. I picture it. I'm like, that's what I think I want to happen. That's what this is the ideal scenario for me. It doesn't always work out, but I think if you keep it in your mind and not for long enough, that's exactly every job I've got. I manifested it, and I firmly believe that that's the reason why. I put it in my head. I almost envisage it as a reality, and I think it then becomes a reality. I think if you ingrain it into your brain so much, then it becomes a reality. We were talking earlier on about when you said about how do you switch off and stuff. I just, like, on that place I went to in Thailand, I started to do meditation. And up until then I was like, I don't want to do meditation. What's the point? Now I'm all about it. I'm like, this is really cool because you can focus on one thing. And I didn't realize that it was I didn't realize it was a part of my brain I could switch on and off. And now I'm like, that's actually nice. And it gives you a place to go to that allows you to rack focus on something. But I honestly, every job I've ever gotten, I manifested it. Anything that I really wanted, I'm like, That'd be cool. And I think that's how it happened.
You just like visualize that you're sitting in that place.
Yeah.
Voila.
I picture it, and then I keep like repicturing it. I'll go to bed at night thinking about it. I'll dream about it sometimes. I'll wake up and be like, oh, this is cool. Sometimes I find it helpful to write things down. Like I'll write down.
Do you read books
No,
often?
weirdly no. And I've never been a big reader. Even in school, I wasn't a big reader. I'm not a big reader, and I'm not really overly good at writing. Like my handwriting is shocking, but I type really well. Like I'm super good at typing, have been for the longest time. So I'll type down ideas, or if that happened or that became a reality, here's what I would do. And I've done it for loads of things. I've done it from thinking about like dream cars or dream home or whatever, like that kind of stuff, where I'll sit down, I'll draw plans for what I think my house will look like if I move into it. And so far, when I manifest stuff, it works. Not all the time, and I'm just remembering it with rose-tinted glasses, been like, oh, well, once I manifested a lottery win, but that has never happened.
No.
And I've done that one so many times. I'm like, 50 million would be so nice. That's never happened. So it doesn't work all the time. But I find it with the things that if you really focus and you really go, right, that's what I want. That's what I want to achieve. That's what I want to do. It happens. That's how I got back into radio here. I met a girl and she said, I work for a radio station. I'm like, that's cool.
In Ireland?
No, here. She was at one of my events and I was like, that's cool. And she's like, do you want to work for me? And I'm like, nah, I don't think that we're in a bar. Like, let's talk about this another day. And she rang me and she said, do you want to work in radio? And I'm like, I've just left a radio job like a couple of years ago. She's like, yeah, do you want to go back working it again? She's like, I've looked up the stuff you've done. And I said, okay. That I think was, then when I went into the station, I'm like, oh yeah, I really like this. I forgot how much I like this. But I can't leave the job I'm in to go and do this as a part-time job. It's not realistic. So that is, I think, the first time I started. I'd probably done it before that as well, to try and get full-time jobs in Ireland. That's when I was like, I'd love this. This is what I would like. I would like to be this. I would like to be this presenter. I'd like to do this show. And every time I've thought about it, it just has worked out. Maybe I'm lucky. Maybe manifestation works.
I think it's just alignment. Because you already know what you want in life.
Yeah.
And things are just aligned to what you really wanted.
Yeah, but it's a series of fortunate events for me and unfortunate events for other people. That means, and I always kind of get to where I want to be. So I got the full-time job in radio because I was like, oh, I would like to be a presenter on that station. I got a phone call in January being like, the guy who was doing this show hasn't showed up. Do you want to come in and do it? And he hadn't shown up because he'd, I think, crashed his bike into a pole. He was fine, but he didn't come back to work after that. He's like, I want to go back to the UK. I'm done. He never came back to work, and I got his job. And I'm like, I literally manifested that 2 weeks ago, and now he's after crashing into a pole. That's so lucky for me, and unlucky for him. And lots happened, like lots. People lost their jobs over COVID. I got moved into a shift that I really love now, and sad they lost their jobs. I'm upset about that. Really lucky for me. It moved me into a position that I'm in now. So yeah, I think it's been a lot of events that have happened that have made me go, oh, I'm lucky that happened. It's allowed me to do this. At
least you're being self-aware of the things that are really happening to you. Like, you see the patterns. Do you see the patterns of what your previous experiences, and then you connect all the dots?
Yeah, I think, but that's life, right? You look back at it and go, oh yeah, that's why that happened. It happened for a reason, and I firmly believe that as well. Everything happens for a reason, right. Good and bad. There's been bad things that happened to me, and I'm like, why am I going through this? Like, why am I going through something that I'm like, this is deeply unsettling, this is really stressful, why am I going through this? And then afterwards, you do
self-introspect then?
Kind of.
Like, you ask yourself, like...
Yeah, you think, you're like, what have I done wrong to deserve this happening to me? Then, retrospectively, you look at it and you go, if that hadn't happened, bad thing, the 17 good things that happened afterwards wouldn't have happened either.
Right.
And so I a firm belief that everything happens for a reason, which sounds so spiritual or whatever, which I'm really not. But I believe that's true.
Of all the things right now that you have already achieved in life, what is success for you? Are you looking for more than what you're doing right now when it comes to your career?
Yeah. And I think the reason is that if you're not developing, you're stagnant. And if you're stagnant, you're bored. And if I'm bored, I don't want to do this job anymore.
Yeah, because you get used to your busy life, and it seems like if you will not have this kind of routine, you will feel like you're not doing life.
You're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And I think the idea is that if you, the more that if I'm a dead duck like in the water doing the same thing over and over again, I'll get bored, and I get creatively bored really easily. And when that happens, I need to do something else, get out of the country, take a break, do whatever. So yeah, I'm always looking for the next thing that I'm going to do with my career. What is that? Watch this space. I think you run the risk of, if you do anything the same for about 3 years or any more than that, maybe you will get bored, you will get complacent. And I think when you get complacent, you run the risk of being no longer good at that one thing that you do.
Right.
So I like to diversify. I like to change things up. I like to add new things in and get rid of things that don't spark joy anymore when it comes to professionally speaking. The next chapter for me is on the way, I think, and it's a progression and it's a development. It's just something you're going to have to wait and see what pans out. But it's coming.
So what's success for you? How do you find success?
I define it financially, which is the wrong thing to do.
But money is also energy, so it's a good
correct,
thing.
Right?
Yeah?
But I define it financially, which is, I always think that's probably the worst thing to do. But I measure it in terms of happiness. From happiness from the success rate that I achieve, that's how I manage it. So that's how I rate it financially, and also how much happiness it brings. What is success? That really depends on what's giving you recognition, but not from yourself. You can recognize yourself all the time. Your family can recognize you all the time. Recognition from your peers and recognition from people who don't even know who you are. There's that. There's always negative stuff, but positive stuff as well. Positive recognition from people who don't know who you are is how I measure success. When somebody says, I heard that thing you did on the radio, it was amazing. When someone comments on Instagram, I loved this morning. All that is positive reinforcement. And then I'm like, that's success.
So see, we didn't have any script, but we just like unflow.
Yeah, but I think that's conversation. Like, that's why it needs to be different.
Yes,
and I think anything, when you see it online, I'm like, I hope there was no script involved in that, because you never know these days and you can't really tell. And I think with AI, it's a concern that I'm like, that could have been scripted. Right. And that's, again, when you ask about diversification and what you're going to do next, AI is going to play such a huge part in the industry that I'm in. I think unless you're diversifying and being something that AI can't be, your job has gone to AI. And that's the last thing you want to happen.
How you make people feel when you're in the radio, no AI can do that.
You think. Currently it can't. That's until it becomes sentient, and then you've got a whole different beast game. Or it takes an entire personality and transplants that onto an AI, and now all of a sudden that personality can be witty and funny and clever. And I don't know, maybe we're not there yet. Maybe I'm overstepping the mark in thinking that. But what I do think, with the changes that happen in AI and how everything's becoming now so centered on that it's something you need to integrate into whatever you're doing, because otherwise AI is going to be doing whatever job you're doing, and then there's no job for you. So you need to be able to find a way to work with it.
Prepare at the same time.
Yeah. And that's what I think. And I can see it. I can see when I'm watching videos of things, I'm like, I can't tell if that's AI or that's real life. That means that's a concern. And there's audio versions of people who read the news, do the weather, factual things that I spoke about earlier on, that I think within a couple of years, you'll see jobs that are speech and facially, like as in video recognition, video driven, be replaced by AI, because it simply doesn't need a personality. It doesn't need somebody sitting across from them like you asking me questions that are human. It can just be facts. And so, I think that there's probably there's going to be a big change in the market when it comes to that. I don't think it's going to happen overnight, but I think it's definitely something that's on the way.
You know, you're one of the few people that I've known who really love what they're doing. Not in the sense of, some of them, they have their own thing, but you love your career, this thing. And some are not just happy with what they're doing. What's your tip?
Okay, if it's your career you're unhappy with and you're in healthcare and you think, I hate this, I hate everything about it, I hate the whole vibe, I hate being in a hospital, I hate healthcare. That's different than somebody who's in a job that they've been in for a while, still loves the industry, but just doesn't like the job or certain elements of the job. And that is something you can change by just adding in different things. So, and it obviously doesn't apply to everywhere. If you're a car mechanic, I can't turn around to you and say, right, well, add in just doing Maseratis from now on, you'll be happier. That's not how it's going to work. But from a creative field point of view, which is the only thing that I'm experienced in, because I haven't worked in any other field, right? I've been working as an adult effectively for the last 20 odd years, because I was working from the age of like 15. I was already starting doing events and stuff and gigs and everything. So I've only worked in that field. So I can tell you that from my point of view, I get bored very easily. And when I do, I have to change things. I have to do things differently. I have to do it, turn it on its head, take everything out and just re-examine it. Like, it's like Lego. Take apart the whole lot of it, re-examine it and be like, right, can I put it back together differently? Let's see how this works. Does that make me happy? And then bring that joy back again. If you're unhappy, and it's people often go, oh, change your job.
It's kind of like also routine, because the 15 years you're doing as a DJ, right?
It's different things that I add in.
Yeah.
So the core thing is playing music. That's what I do. Sometimes I talk around it when I'm on the radio. Sometimes I play games around it when I'm doing quizzes and bingo. Sometimes I don't talk at all, and I'm just DJing. But the core thing is DJing.
Yeah, I get you.
Either you're an RJ, which is what they call it, which I hate, but radio jockey, or you're an MC, which is a DJ who's just talking. But you're still, that's the core. So what you're doing is adding in other things on top of that. And again, whatever it is that you're doing, add in something else on top of it, right? That's why people go back and do H-dips, so that they can do something else. They might be a teacher who also does this, you know. But I think if you keep adding things into it, you become diverse. Creatives, in my experience, I work with a bunch of them, and we're very left-brained. We don't deal well with being in a bored place. You need to keep adding things into your life and not turn it completely in its head, but add things in continuously. And then anything that's not causing you happiness, put it out the other side. Get rid of it. It doesn't need to be in your life anymore. You just get rid of it. Just get rid of it as a job. Get rid of it as a task, as a chore. Find the thing that you can find that's going to keep you going. This is fun. This is diverse. And that you don't have to convince yourself getting up every morning that you love this job. You should wake up going, I like this job. Not every day, because that's BS. Nobody wakes up every day going, it's 4 a.m. I'm so happy to be awake. No.
Yeah.
You don't do that. But having more good days than bad days, that means you're probably doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
What's one word that you would like your viewers to describe you?
Charismatic.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And if anyone asks, because I would prefer it, because then I would make it Gen Z. Is it Gen Z that we're in now? What's Gen Alpha? And if somebody was to ask me, then I'd say, okay, well, I got Riz. Just Riz. That's the word.
What's Riz?
Riz?
No, I don't know. What's Riz?
Riz is the shortened version of charisma for Gen Alpha. Yeah.
How did they cut the charisma from Riz?
It's just a Riz. You just got Riz.
Okay.
No, it's because you're chuggy. You don't get it. I don't know what that one is. That one could be not okay. Gen Z saying, I want it to be like cool. Yeah. So Riz, charisma. That's what I'd like. That's what I think it is. I hope that's what it is. If it's not, I'm doing my job wrong, because that's what I've been trying to portray.
Can you close this episode for us?
Episode 5. What a time to be alive. This has been my favorite podcast that I've done this year. There's been a few, to be fair. This one I've loved. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jono, for your time. Really appreciate it.